the latest edition of my Key Takeaways with series. I'm delighted to be joined by Ed Guest. Ed is the Group COO and CFO at Unlimited. Ed, great to see you again.
Chris, good to see you too.
Would you be able to tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm a chartered accountant by trade with PricewaterhouseCoopers, and I've basically spent the last 20 odd years as CFO in various people-based businesses across various industries, be it advertising, property services, mining, engineering and marine services, and oil and gas services. Most of my roles have been international. This current role is UK-based only. I speak French and Spanish as well, so that's really helped me do the international roles. But also, when I was at Ogilvy for 6 years, in the early 2000s, I did do a stint as Nordic CFO based in Stockholm, which was great fun.
Okay, that sounds great. In 2021, you transitioned from CFO to COO and CFO.
Yeah.
Why was this change made, and what impact has it had?
So let me give you a little bit of history, because that'll tell the story. So when I joined the company three and a half years ago, it was a very different group than it is now. It'd been bought by private equity and taken off the stock exchange. And it was a very decentralized group with 35 plus legal entities and brands, all working independently of each other, and even some cannibalization of revenue and things like that. The business brought in a new CFO, who then brought me in, but the whole strategic intent was to try and change the group from a decentralized group to an integrated marketing services group. And so we went about collapsing the 35 plus legal entities into 4 divisions, and creating what we called one P&L. So we're having one EBITDA. And the divisions were basically focused on driving revenue, and I set about rationalizing, standardizing, centralizing all the support functions into one to support and underpin, creating a new operating platform essentially. So we also transformed the performance of the group, but I think because I essentially looked after all the internal operations, not just finance at the time, the natural transition to being COO at the same time helped. And at that time, I also developed something called the Productivity Playbook to help us drive better margin performance in a business and be more effective and efficient as a business.
Which leads me very nicely onto my next question. You've recently written a Productivity Playbook. What are your insights around productivity, and why is this such an important focus?
Yeah, so the business we're in is a services business. It's the people are the product, and as a result of that, we need to maximize the efficiency of the way we do our work and deliver our work to our clients. We're not a logistics business or anything like that has a supply line where you can make it all just in time. You're dealing with people who, by nature, are going to do things in different ways, and there's a natural inefficiency about how we do things. So the whole Productivity Playbook, which has really been developed from, my many years of experience in different, people-based businesses, services businesses, is all about, eking out and maximizing the way we do our work, providing enabling tools. But essentially, the Productivity Playbook very quickly has 5 main strands. You start off with making sure you have the right structure, and each type of business in different industries will require different structures, from maybe a pyramid structure to a diamond structure or an inverted structure. But you need to get that right, so that once you've got that right, you've then got the right resource, which you can then allocate effectively to all the projects that you do. And once you've got that resource allocated appropriately, you want to make sure it's fully utilized. And then also the utilization is as effective as possible and is get paid for. So we call it recoverability, where you make sure that all your utilization is actually fully paid for by the client. And ultimately, that also links into then making sure we have effective pricing. So all those form what I call a five-ring Venn diagram, which all interlink in different ways as a 5 or a 4 or a 3 or 2 interdependently. And the way to maximize your productivity is to make sure that all are working in sync and effective. What we then did is then take that to the next level, and brought in process optimization and automation to take that to the next level of efficiency.
Can you then harness AI, machine learning, and automation, or are they just industry buzzwords?
Yeah, well, no, I don't think they're industry buzzwords at all. I think there is a little bit of a bandwagon going on at the moment, but they're absolutely very, very real. And we've been, doing both for a couple of years already, actually. So on the automation side, as part of the whole of creating a strong operating platform, as I said, we standardized, we rationalized, standardized, centralized, and optimized the way our support functions work and all the way the businesses work. And then what we've looked at now is really look at all the way we work, the processes, and then by identifying and making those processes and tasks as effective as possible, we can then identify which ones lend themselves to automation. In many cases, we've used RPA, so robotic process automation, to drive efficiency, and we've hugely driven efficiency in that, where roles that might take 3 days to do gone down to 8 minutes in some instances. Wow. So look at that for our shared service center, which is a finance function, has not grown whilst our business has grown. So it's allowed us to keep our overhead down, but also make sure that we're more effective as a finance operation. And we're doing that across the board in other areas. On the AI side, we've actually been developing a proprietary tool as part of our Human Understanding Lab, which is our way of doing, one of our key ways of doing business and selling to clients. And that is all AI driven, and we're continuing to develop that further. The next stage is I've just started an AI task force, where we're looking at how we can use AI more effectively, but also more deeply across everything we do in the organization, and in actually being better at delivering better revenue to clients as a result.
Fascinating. You mentioned the Human Understanding Lab. So I guess Unlimited launched that a few years ago. What is it, and how does it fuel the business?
So we pride ourselves as being what we call a conversion agency. So we tend the marketing funnel has a big top, which is mainly advertising, film, print, all that sort of thing. And then as you go down the funnel, you're more into one-to-one advertising. And what we pride ourselves is we call ourselves a conversion agency, because we're not shy to say that we're all about helping our customers, our clients, sell to their customers. So the way we do that and help them do that is by really understanding the consumer, their consumer, and what really drives their behaviors and the actions from those behaviors that leads them to buying their products. As a result of that, we developed something called the Human Understanding Lab, which is really deep insight and as to really getting. If you look at an iceberg, a lot of data and research will look at the bit that's sticking out the water, but actually human subconsciousness is really what drives our behavior and action, and it's trying to get into that subconsciousness to try and understand what drives them to buy a client's products. And we use different tools and things to do that, from neuroscience to behavioral science to reaction time testing. And that underpins essentially our Human Understanding Lab offering. And it's a very exciting product. And that proprietary tech tool that I talked about is essentially doing that much, much more quickly for our clients.
Fascinating. Ed, thank you very much. I really appreciate you sharing your insights today.
Not at all. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Chris.